3 out of every 5 people on earth are going to die from this. It's inside your body right now, and you can't even tell. You won't have pain, a lot of times no symptoms, no warning. It quietly drives heart disease, strokes, diabetes, cancer, even memory loss. The WHO calls it one of the greatest threats to human health. And yet, a lot of people have never even heard about it, never heard it said out loud. But here's the part that is even more surprising to a lot of people. This isn't an invader of your body. This isn't something that's attacking you from the outside. This is something that your own body is doing on purpose. Something that was designed to protect you that has quietly now turned against you. Today, you're going to learn more because today I'm talking about chronic inflammation. What is it? What is it quietly doing inside your body? And what are very real and practical things that you can do about it? Welcome to Fuller Living, your space for empowerment, inspiration, and practical health nuggets. Here you'll find relatable guidance that fits your everyday life as you journey to a fuller and healthier you. I'm your host, Dr. Ashitey. Let's dig in. Welcome back to Fuller Living. Wherever you're listening from, whatever you're doing, as always, I am so glad to have you here. And I can't wait to get into what I've prepared for you today. Last time we talked about wonder, we talked about play and awe. We talked about how those things quietly protect us. Today, I'm going to look at what that's actually protecting us from. I want to start with a word that you've probably heard before: inflammation. It's one of those words that gets used a lot these days. I hear it from a lot of patients who are coming to see me. They feel like they have a lot of inflammation in their bodies. It's on labels, it's in headlines, wellness conversations all over the place. And yet, people haven't really been taught what it means. Here's something that I've noticed over the years as a physician. Some of the most important things happening inside our bodies are the things that we can't feel at all. I mean, remember, we talked about hypertension, high blood pressure. A lot of people have it and have no idea at all. We tend to react to pain, to symptoms, to things that get loud, but some of the most significant processes in our bodies, they unfold quietly over years, long before you even notice them. Chronic inflammation is one of those processes. So today I want to make this simple and clear. We're going to talk about inflammation and what it is, why it isn't the villain that it's often made out to be. We're going to talk about what causes it to become more of a problem, and we're going to talk about what it's quietly doing in your body over time. But most importantly, I am going to talk about what actually helps in real, practical, and doable ways to get you not be a victim to chronic inflammation. So let's get into it. So what is inflammation? Let's start there, because that's the part that most people get wrong. Inflammation is not the enemy. In fact, inflammation is one of the most important survival tools that your body actually has. That is the thing that a lot of people don't tend to understand. For instance, remember the last time you cut your finger or twisted your ankle or had a cold? You had redness, you had swelling, maybe some warmth. That's inflammation, and it's a good thing. It's your immune system rushing to the scene to protect you, to fight off that infection, and to begin the healing process. I want you to picture with me for a second a fire department. When there's a fire, you want them to show up, and you want them to show up fast. You want the sirens on, you want them doing their job, you want them taking care of that fire quickly. That's healthy inflammation. It shows up when there's a problem, it does the work, and then it leaves. This last part is the key. The trouble begins when the fire department decides to stay and never goes home. Imagine that. Imagine the truck is parked in front of your street permanently, sirens are running all day and night, hoses are always on, not because there's an emergency, but because the alarm just never gets switched off. That, my friends, is chronic inflammation, And that is bad. It's slow, it's steady, it's a simmering response, and it stays switched on in the background for months or even years. You don't feel it the way you feel when you have a cut or a cold. It's more quiet than that. It's quiet and it's persistent, and it begins to wear on your body over time. There's even a term that we have for it, for this type of low-grade inflammation that slowly builds as we age. We call it inflammaging, that gradual silent simmer that's increasingly linked to so many conditions that you and I know about as we get older. So the goal is never to really get rid of this good thing. The goal is not to get rid of acute inflammation. We need it. The goal is to help the fire department do its job and then go home. So if our bodies are designed to switch off inflammation, why does it stay switched on for so many people? Here's where you want to listen in closely. Because many of the things that keep that fire quietly burning are part of your everyday life. Let's walk through the big ones. I'm going to give you 5. The first is excess body fat, particularly around the midsection. Here's something most people don't realize. Fat isn't just sitting there storing energy. Fat is actually active. It releases signals that promote inflammation. So carrying excess weight, especially around the belly, tends to keep that fire gently burning all the time. The second is diet. Diets that are high in sugar, refined carbohydrates, fried foods, and processed foods all tend to promote inflammation. And diets that are low in fiber, that are low in vegetables and fruits and whole foods, those diets leave out the very things that help calm down inflammation. Now you see why we talk about eating certain foods. The third is inactivity. When we sit around for most of the day, inflammatory markers tend to rise. Our bodies were designed to move, and movement itself helps keep inflammation in check. Here's the fourth one that might surprise you. The environment. Things like air pollution, environmental toxins, even some of the toxins that are in our foods have been linked to higher levels of inflammation in the body. Now, this is something that a lot of us cannot control, but it's good to be aware of it and to do the best you can. And this fifth one is a big one: chronic stress and poor sleep. When we're under constant stress, when we're not sleeping well, our body stays in that heightened, activated state. Interestingly, researchers have found that ongoing stress, especially job strain, raises inflammation most sharply in younger adults. So if you've ever felt like your stress was aging you, if you ever felt like it was wearing you down physically, you're not imagining it. It's very real. Now, notice something about this whole list: body fat, diet, movement, stress, sleep. These aren't separate from the rest of your life. They're the rhythms of your daily living, which is actually very good news, because this means that you can actually do something about it. We have more influence over this more than we think. Now, let's talk about why this matters so much. Because if chronic inflammation just felt uncomfortable, it would be one thing. But the real concern is what it's quietly doing over time. Remember, this is a process that can run silently for years. And during those years, it's slowly affecting your body. So let's start with the heart. The hardening and narrowing of your arteries, that process underneath most heart attacks and strokes, at its core, it's an inflammatory process. In fact, this underlies about half of all deaths in westernized countries. That's how central inflammation is to heart disease. It's also deeply connected to diabetes. Some of you may recall my previous series talking about cardiovascular disease. If you haven't already, I want you to go check it out. Remember our earlier conversations about insulin and blood sugar. We talked about how inflammation interferes with how the body handles blood sugar, making it part of the story of how diabetes develops over time. It's also linked to certain cancers because that constant low-grade inflammation and irritation, over time, it can start to damage your healthy cells. And catch this, it is increasingly connected to the brain and memory loss and cognitive decline as we age. That silent simmer appears to play a role in how our brain ages over time. Here's something that's going to surprise you. Chronic inflammation can quietly drain your energy. When your immune system is staying switched on all the time, it's burning your resources in the background. And it's going to show up as fatigue, low mood, or just generally feeling worn down. And a lot of times you may do labs that don't really reflect it. So if you've ever felt tired in a way that your sleep didn't fix, there might be something bigger going on down beneath the surface. None of this is really meant to frighten you, just the opposite. Because the hopeful part is this. This is what I want you to hear today. Are you ready for it? Here's the good news. Chronic inflammation is one of the most responsive things in the body. It responds to how you live, which means you and I have real influence over it. So let's talk about what actually helps. The single most powerful lever is reducing excess body fat, especially around the midsection. Even modest or gradual changes here can meaningfully lower your inflammation. The second is what we eat. We can't get away from that. So a largely plant-forward or high-fiber way of eating, one that's rich in vegetables and fruits and whole grains and legumes, can be one of the most reliable ways to calm inflammation in your body. And there are certain foods that stand out. For instance, foods that are rich in omega-3 fats like salmon and sardines and other fatty fish, or even walnuts or flaxseed, can all help decrease inflammation. And then we've got foods that have a lot of magnesium like leafy greens, beans, nuts, seeds. These can also help. And then there's vitamin D. It plays a role, and this is very important because I check this a lot in patients, and most people have low vitamin D. So what foods have it? Fatty fish, eggs, of course, getting a sensible amount of sunlight. Don't forget your sunscreen. Now, you don't need a perfect diet. You just need to start moving in that direction. The third one is movement. Regular physical activity is constantly linked to lower inflammation. And you need to have a mix of aerobic activity like, walking, cycling, swimming, dancing, as well as resistance training, lifting weights, yoga, or some of the body weight activity. Remember, it's not about getting punishing workouts in, just consistency. Start somewhere. The fourth is stress management and sleep. They go hand in hand. This is where everything comes full circle. Remember the last episode we talked about wonder and play and awe? Well, it turns out that those weren't just nice ideas for the soul. Calming your nervous system, lowering your stress, protecting your sleep, these are directly linked to quieting inflammation in your body. So the things that bring you peace, like going out and playing, that help you feel restful and joyful and connected and alive, those are not luxuries. They are part of your physical health. They are part of decreasing chronic inflammation in your body. So now that we have all of that together, let's set our SMART goal. Remember, a SMART goal is one that is specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant, and it's time-bound. This week, I want you to choose one anti-inflammatory action and do it consistently for 7 days. That's it. I just want you to pick one. Maybe it's a 15-minute walk after dinner each evening. Maybe you're adding 1 serving of vegetables to your meals per day. Maybe you're swapping 1 processed snack for a handful of walnuts. Or maybe it's protecting your sleep by setting a consistent bedtime and sticking to it. Maybe it's returning to something from last week, like scheduling your play. So specific, choose one clear action. Measurable, you're going to do it once a day For achievable, we're making it 1 and small, and that's realistic. And relevant, this is because it directly helps calm inflammation in your body, which is part of your goal to live a healthier and a fuller life. And time-bound, we just got to do this for 7 days. So small, consistent action, quietly, gradually, is going to change everything. Well, a lot of things happening inside your body. Today, we talked about something that affects almost all of us, even though a lot of us cannot feel it. Chronic inflammation, that quiet fire. We talked about how inflammation itself is a good thing. It's a protective response that's supposed to show up and then leave. We talked about what keeps that fire burning, like body fat, diet, inactivity, the environment, stress, and poor sleep. And we talked about what it quietly is costing us over time. Your health, your heart, your blood sugar, your brain, your energy. But most importantly, we talked about how responsive it is to a lot of the things that we do every day. And because of that, you and I do have some control over that. A lot of control, in fact. So here's what I hope you take with you. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to overhaul your entire life. This is about gently, consistently helping your body do what it was always designed to do: heal, settle, and then find balance again. And this is so beautiful because a lot of what you do to bring that improvement is what you're already doing. Moving, nourishing your body, finding rest and connection, refinding wonder in your life, caring for your body and living a fuller life. We never really separate those things. I hope you found this helpful today. So, I'd love to hear from you. What is one anti-inflammatory action you're choosing this week? Let me know in the comments. And if this episode helped you understand your body a little bit better, please share it with someone, because this is so important to get other people, especially your loved ones, living more healthy. And if you're enjoying this podcast, don't forget to subscribe, leave me a review, as it's generally going to help more people find this podcast. When you're done, mark your calendar to return next week for another riveting episode, one that I promise is going to further improve your life. Until next time, let's get to fuller living. Well, fam, that wraps up another episode of Fuller Living, where we talk about health in a bite-sized, relatable, practical, and fun way. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress one small step at a time while remaining consistent. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe, share it with a friend who might need a little bit of inspiration, and leave me your 5-star review. And if you're in Dallas and looking for a new PCP, look me up at southwestfamilymed.com. I can't wait to meet you. Until next time, let's get to fuller living.